Today I want to talk about a Kabbalistic, known Kabbalistic concept that everybody talks about, but many people don't know anything about, nor how does it correspond with your own life. That concept is called Klipot, husks. What does that mean? If you ask the average person, Maze Klipa, he's going to tell you, Klipot, Tuma, it's impurities, and I'm removing impurities, all kind of babble that most people would like to hand over in many topics of their lives. In other words, they know they scheme something from somewhere, this lecture, that lecture, and people never really look inside what it is. Needless to say that even after they learned about it, never bother to contemplate what does it really mean, like a philosophical aspect of it. If you want to know what Kabbalah is, people tell you Kabbalah, flying demons, amulet, all kind of stuff like this. Kabbalah, to most part of it, is the philosophical aspect of Jewish mysticism. That's basically what it is. And if you know anything about philosophy, you know that most people are not philosophers. Most people are turkeys. They just babble. So let's go to our husks. So what is really, who's chewing over there? I can hear this crunching all the way here. Put some buffers, that's why you have to have a bigger beard. People will tell you what husk is a klipa. Klipa means a shell. And what does it really have to do with me? A shell, where would you find shells, for example? You find shells in, let's say, seeds. Seeds. Husks, when they refer to, is almost like a wheat grain or grass grain or something like that. Which, of course, wheat is a type of grass, but it's a different issue altogether. So let's say, for example, let's take a grass, or wheat or barley grain that you take out. If you ever grew it, and by the way, it's a lot of fun. Sometimes I just take like leftover barley that I have, that it's not cooked, of course. I just throw it in my garden, and all of a sudden I have barley or wheat growing. And remember, I brought you a few times stalks of barley and wheat that grew up in my backyard. You see, the husk is very hard, and it's protecting the seed inside. And what does the seed have inside? The seed of the wheat, what does he have inside? Anybody know? Can you please tell me? What's inside the seed?
Proteins, oil.
Okay, so at least somebody quickly goes into his reservoir of information, and it pulls up some good information, says protein and so on and so forth, and other. Most of you never even bother to think what's inside the seed. So let's see what we can find inside the seed of a wheat. And let's zoom in, like this, in a movie, going inside and now we're going to make a little animation. Inside the seed, there is the green blade or the stalk of grain that comes up. Inside of it, there is flour. Inside of it, there is the bread and the burekas and the cookies and all the other things that you would make out of that. Inside that grain. Now, why is the husk there? To basically protect it from premature germination. You don't want it to start germinating in your closet. Well, let's leave the closet, in your cupboard. Right? However, it also restricts it. Restrict that grain from growing and producing the breads and the cookies and the croissant and the pizzas and the donuts and whatever other goodies you can come out from that. It prevents you from one grain. I don't know how many grains of wheat are in one stalk, but prevents you from creating other and multiply and so on and so forth. So if you could see it in every grain of wheat, or as they say in the Midwest, it's wheat, right? There is a lot of potential that is all being restricted by that klipa, by the husk, by that shell. You too are a wheat seed restricted by a shell. What does that mean? In you, each and every one of you, there is an endless potential to become unbelievable, successful, and unbelievable people. Some of you become breads, and some of you become croissants, and some of you become pizzas, and you get the drift, right? And some of you will produce more and multiply, and however, you never reach that because you allow that shell to restrict you. And then eventually you become rotten and you die. Just like the seed. And what is therefore your klipa? What is that klipa that prevents the spread of the kedusha? The kedusha means the abundance that comes from above. To become fulfilled and achieved people. These are all the obstacles in which you deliberately put on yourself, but not exposing yourself to the right conditions to enhance and to allow ultimate growth. It is your fears. It is your conditioning that you have decided to put and apply in yourselves. It's your insecurities. It is your friends that restrict you. Everything that prevents you from exploding out is a klipa to you. And that klipa restricts the kedusha, because ultimately when you're restricted, you're going to be restricted in all areas. Even in Avodat Hashem, you'll be restricted. And you'll be restricted by saying, well, if I was born to this mother, if I was born to that father, if I was born in this century, and on and on and on and on. You're putting more shells upon yourself, that it will be impossible, even if you give the right conditions for the seed to grow, that will prevent it from blooming, because there's not going to be light and nutrients coming in, no water, no light, no, and then it simply rots inside. It rots from within, and you too would rot from within. And you need to be able to say, I'm going to learn as much as I can. Of course, not only Torah, but mainly Torah. Because when you learn Torah, it allows you to deal with all your fears. You are allowed to say, I don't know. You are expected to say, I don't know. You are not expected, if you learn Torah appropriately, to know it all. Because Torah told you right away, you won't be able to learn alone. But you need to do your best. You need to do your best. When you're going to stand in front of a Kadosh Baruch Hu, you are not going to be measured about what you achieved, but firstly and mainly about what effort have you put in. This is never going to be a perfect world. Never. But we should truly make an effort to do our best in it. And we don't do our best because we say, well, this did this to me, and this one doesn't like me, and this is like this, and I was born with this color eyes, I was born with this color skin, and I was born to this nationality, and the conditions, above and beyond, without leaps and bounds, restrictions upon yourself, shells and hostages. If you realize the abilities, the kochot, the powers in which you inhibit within yourself, that you have within yourself, you'll be unstoppable. Unstoppable. Yes, you won't be able to jump from here to Mount Everest in one leap like this, because you're still bound to the laws of physics, but you will break certain laws of physics, and there will be time, because you're going to become timeless, above time. And that you need to understand. The tum'ah, the impurity, comes from the rat that was not allowed the light or the nutrients to come in and actually transform that potential into an action. That's tum'ah. Impure. Useless. Tum'ah in Judaism is lack of life potential. Avi avot tum'ah is a Jewish person that is dead. There's no life potential in this anymore. And why a Jew? Because a Jew, when he's alive, through doing the mitzvot and Ratzon Hashem, can reach the highest level of Kedusha. And now there's no life to it. Loss of potential of life. When a woman has a period, there's no life potential there, because the egg never fertiled. So loss of life potential. Disconnect from the source. Anything that is disconnected from its source is considered to be tameh at different levels. The greater the potential of life, when that doesn't mature itself, the greater the tumah. When you had parts in your body and you're pure, everything in your body is pure. However, for example, we all have, unfortunately, excrement in our body, right? But it's somewhere in the whatever, miles of intestines we have inside. However, as soon as it comes out of your body, you have to wash your hand to purify yourself, because there's a certain process of tumah that applied on you. So you need to wash yourself to purify yourself. So all of a sudden you can't understand. You cut your nails. Your nails were connected to your body? Yeah, they're not a problem. This part is not more tameh than this. If this part is tameh, everything is tameh. You cut the nails, it becomes tameh. Certain separation of separating from the source. Now you gotta do netilat yadayim, and so on and so on and so forth. And that's something you need to understand. When you say to break the Klipot, is to understand that you can do it, and you could acquire knowledge, and you are becoming a vehicle for the lights of abundance to come in, to be able to produce from 1 grain of wheat. If you nourish it appropriately, you get a stalk, and let's say a stalk of wheat has, let's say, 30 different kernels on it. And then you took all those 30 and you planted them all. And now you have 30 times 30. How much is that?
900.
900. Have you ever seen 900 blades of wheat growing? That's already a nice patch. And you take this 900 and you take all those kernels times 30. How many you have?
27,000. No, yeah. No, wait, 2,700.
And then you take another one times 30. And then it goes on. So in like 5 years, you might have like 50,000 of them grow. It's a ridiculous amount. From one. Look, for example, at a person like the Rambam. How many books were written on the Rambam on what he said? That's one kernel, one person. How many books were written on the Shulchan Aruch? Here, give me Shulchan Aruch, this one. See, that is the whole entire Shulchan Aruch, the 4 things of Shulchan Aruch, without any commentators. That's it. And this is basically divided in half because you have the Ramah inside also. So maybe cut this in 2/3, and maybe it will be, the whole entire Shulchan Aruch will be something like this big. How much was written on the Shulchan Aruch? Thousands and tens of thousands of books. It's one kernel that was exposed. How about you? So when you surrender to the restricting voice inside of you, when you surrender to the restricting voice of others, they tell you you cannot go on Kedusha, you can't accomplish, you are this or you're that. You are surrendering yourself to the powers of impurity. You are becoming Tameh. You are the one who's decapitating yourself. You are the one. HaKadosh Baruch Hu put this ability in you to be whatever you want, if you want. So when you break the Klipot, break those voices inside of you that tell you you can't. Because you can. You just don't want to. So at the end of your life, or somewhere towards the end of your life, when you're just a little bit over the hill, but not over the top, or maybe over the top, going all the way down, you look at all those things that you wanted in life and you did not achieve. And it's not because you couldn't do it. It's because you decided that you don't want to do them. And the blame is on you. So you celebrate purity and Kedusha and celebrate life itself by making all the things that you want to do and go by one after them. Not necessarily you're going to achieve them all. I can tell you this, I need about 3 lifetimes to achieve all the things I want to achieve. Well, you got to start somewhere. At least make sure that in this lifetime, or whatever lifetime I have left in me, I try to do whatever I want to do. You need to say, and it is only what you want, not what somebody else wants from you. What you want. And if you want to be a Gadol B'Torah, yeah, you'll be a Gadol B'Torah. Oh, the Parnasa, Klipa, Tum'ah, right away. Fear. Write books, get a job as a rabbi. There's a million things to do. You think Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs is worried? He got his thing. He wrote his books. He became, a famous thing. He goes all over the world, gives lectures, became the chief rabbi of England. Or, what's his name? Rav Yitzchak Yosef. He's the chief rabbi, chief rabbi of Israel. Everybody's a chief rabbi. You want to be a chief rabbi? I'll make you chief rabbi. It's not a problem. If that's where you want to be. Work for it. But when you say, no, I have to have parnasa, I have to have this, I have to, and the reason why I can't do this is because of this, that's tum'ah on you. You're talking from your fear. And you have nothing to fear of, but fear itself. Have a nice day. Not crap.